welcome to the first episode of Consciously Connected Conversations. I'm so excited to be here. We've taken an extended break with Consciously Connected. We didn't run our kickstart like we normally do in January because we wanted to see what else we could do. Maybe shift a little bit, pivot a little bit. And I decided that I thought a podcast would be a really nice way to interview people who have different experiences and different stories. And just get them sharing their experiences and their perspectives on things. As always, we are a community that looks at things that are being done differently, more consciously, if you want to say it. So, parenting, educating, spirituality, sexuality, whatever it is. So, the first person I'm speaking to today is Anna-Mart Schoeman, and we are talking about self-directed learning as she is the principal of Silvermist Academy in Cape Town. But that's not where her journey started, so I'm going to let her tell you a little bit more when we get speaking to her. The intro is just to let you know that this series for the podcast is going to be about alternative education methods in South Africa. And this is going to be the first episode with Anna. She was one of our first members. When I put a message out on Facebook all those years ago, she was one of the first people to say, yes, I want to get involved. I went on and I said, we're looking for people who are wanting to do things differently, whether it's parenting, education, whatever it is. And she said, me. Like she had taught in the UAE, learning very different methods to what we were doing in South Africa, and then came to South Africa, became the traveling teacher, and shared her knowledge with more people, and now is the principal of Silvermist Academy. So I'm excited to chat to her. I can't wait for you to see the episode. And yeah, please feel free to share this podcast episode with anyone you think might be interested, with communities of people looking for different ways, because there are a lot of us looking for different ways, myself included. I am Claire Ems. I didn't even introduce myself. I am the founder of Consciously Connected, but I'm also a qualified teacher who taught in the system for many years, who is now unschooling my own children and learning every single day. So I'm also going to learn a lot of knowledge from the conversation as well. So I can't wait for you to watch it. And yeah, stay tuned for more episodes that will be coming at least once a month. Okay, hello Anna. Welcome
Hey.
to the podcast. I was just saying in the intro, it's so lovely to have you back because you were one of our first members of Consciously Connected. So, yay! OG.
OG, OG. Thanks, Claire. Yes, it's been quite a journey, and it's happy to see you and chat to you again.
Yeah, and I can't believe it's literally almost been, I think, 6 years since we started Consciously Connected, as of now,
Oh,
2026. So it's been a very long time, and I feel like both of us have had journeys over that time. So I can't wait to chat more about this journey. So I think to
sure.
start, would you mind telling us? I was going to say straight into Silvermist, but could you tell us a bit about your journey getting there to Silvermist? Like what happened before, as far back as you want to go?
Ah, sure. Okay. So I've had a really, unconventional journey in education. I started teaching while I was working in the Eastern Cape. They needed a hot or like a body in a class, and they asked me if I wanted to teach. And teaching was actually one of the things I always said I'd never get into. But I always knew that I wanted to have kids introduced to and connected to the land. And I was very interested in community living and all of that. So in my mind, I kind of thought, oh, I'll do camps for kids on a farm, bring them from the city, really connect them and ground them in nature. And yes, but I didn't have credibility with parents, and I didn't have a job that freed me up for school holidays. So when they offered me the job in the street, I was like, no, thank you. And I was like, oh, wait, school holidays, free credibility with parents. And I said, how can I apply? So
Ah,
that is how that's how I got into teaching. I said yes, got the job, and then I had to obviously direct my own learning and get my teaching qualification. Um, it was just an interesting journey. I think because I didn't come with any preconceived ideas of like, this is how you teach and this is how you do it. Literally, my first day walking into the class was I was the biggest learner because I had to learn what the kids knew. So I said, okay, what have you guys done in math so far? Tell me. And from there, I then could continue, and, we built on that. So I think if I consider like many mainstream, where we have the idea the teacher is the one in the front of the class that needs to stand and tell the children, because I didn't know, they had to tell me first, which is something that I've kept with me all through my teaching career. So that was my first school. I spent 6 years in the Eastern Cape, got my qualification, and as soon as I qualified, I thought, well, that's it. Let's take on the world. And I went to the Middle East, where I spent 12 years teaching children who are ESL, English second language, or actually English foreign language. And that is where I would say I grew as a teacher the most, because the kids didn't understand what I said in class. So I had to teach grade 5 English, math, and science to children who were not English speakers. So that asked me to draw on like different approaches. And that was really valuable because I got into understanding how kids learn and when they learn best. And I was able to formulate some routines and things that I kind of used from there onwards. So in COVID, and that is where our paths kind of crossed. Yes, it must have been
Yeah.
about COVID time.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was. Yeah.
it was that. And that's when I planned my exit back to South Africa. Yeah, supported parents of homeschoolers for a while, supported teachers, did a bit of coaching. And then a friend of mine contacted me, said that she's been following the traveling teacher. Would I be interested to come and grow a school with her? But I made already, I think in 2001, I made an agreement with God and said, you know what, when I bring my own mind into things and like, I want to do this, then so invite me where I need to go. So when she phoned me and she said, would you mind coming? I was like, okay, thanks for the invitation. And yes, here we are 3 years later
Ah,
at
oh,
Silvermist. How lovely.
it's amazing how the path clears when it needs to, like at just the right time.
Absolutely. And I think that is what made me say yes in the street as well to the teaching job. It's like, okay, this is the invitation. All right, let's go become that yes man.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, so sorry, I'm like I had my questions in my brain, but now I've been listening to you and now I'm like I've forgotten all my questions. Um Okay, so let me ask this if I'm getting it correct. So what you do at Silvermist is more like self-directed project-based learning. Is that right?
That is right. Yes. So we are working towards getting or helping children be self-directed learners. We're following a project based at this point, and like I said to you before, we've got children that are traumatized by learning. So if you then say to them, what is it that you're interested in learning? Many of them, they're not interested at all. So yes, we are. Some of us are regulating our nervous systems. For some children, learning means learning how to be with other children. For some of us, learning means, okay, I've got my laptop open, I'm doing my Cambridge or my British curriculum
Okay.
online.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. And so that's different age groups together or
All age, yeah.
yeah.
We have 6 to 9 and 9 to 12, and then 12 to 15. So we have them in
Okay.
bands of like 3 years more or less.
Okay. And do you feel like what you've done up to now, so like the Eastern Cape in the Middle East, has all of that kind of fed into what you do now? Or do you feel like you've had to shift again, like to something else, sort of?
Sure. I shift all the time. And like, I think at my core, I always knew that number one, like many of the systems are not working at its best. So I knew that. I knew that children, when they are interested, in humans, we all, I mean, if we're interested in something, we pick it up so quickly. So it's like it's in us. Um, I've had to shift my brain a little bit. I've got unschoolers who attend the space. So for them, learning looked very different. And part of me as a teacher, you know, I still want to say, oh, come, but we have to do this now. And it was like, okay, so I try to always extend the invitation. The invitation is always there. And then, yes, some of them take it, some don't. And then I have to be the biggest learner and be okay with that.
I feel like that's been you like you speaking my language as well. Obviously, being in the system, we both spoke about how the system didn't work. I remember when we said we are going to go to the education department and we are going to change the system. And over time, I think we both realized like there is no change in the system. We just got to get out of it, build our own stuff. But I feel like
Build our own
I
system.
totally relate to that because I get into that mindset where I'm like, okay, now we need to do some maths today. It's always maths because my girls don't always choose maths. We got to do, we haven't done maths today. And then I remember, okay, just step back. I'll be like, who feels like doing maths? We don't want to do maths. And I sometimes still come up with, I think that's what I'm wrestling with. I come up with ways to still introduce it without
Yeah.
but then I think, am I really letting them direct the learning? Like today, I felt like doing limericks. So I looked up limericks, started reading them, and next month we were all making limericks. And I suppose like it wasn't necessarily self-directed by them, but I only did it when they were interested. Like I would have stopped if they said, we don't want to do this. So yeah, I'm wondering how much that plays into your dad's school.
So, and this is so well said in Afrikaans. My mum said te voet en te paard. Like you shouldn't put a te in front of anything. Like, so I like balance, like an invitation. And then there are things that, you know, that we get done. And this is just what we do. Um, kids need to play. They need to play a lot. They need to play way more than they have time for. And I think once they've been allowed to play and they've regulated themselves, then an invitation to learning, I think, is absolutely in order. I think um, if a learning space, so we hold the philosophy that the parent is the first teacher, the teacher is the second teacher, and the environment is the third teacher. So if you set up your projects and your things in a way that almost extends a natural invitation to them, then yes, if it's in their interest, they're welcome to take those. I think like a lot of unschoolers would probably crucify me for this, but there is, I believe, in a middle ground. They are able to choose. So what are their interests? But then suggesting something in their interest, I don't think there's like an issue with that.
Yeah, yeah. It's the
Um,
force is not there, but the encouragement is maybe like a different
the
word.
encouragement, the
Yeah.
invitation, yes.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to say something else, but it'll pop back to my mind in a moment, I think.
Maybe in the next question it will come up because I was going to ask, what does the average day look like at your school? Do you call it a school? Learning center?
We're a learning community, and we're actually
Okay.
at the moment hashtag not a school.
Oh, okay.
Um, I think in the old constructs, everybody, if you say it's a school or it's a place of learning, then everybody understands. I understand words, you know, it's spelling, so I'm conscious of the words we use and what do we choose to bring into the space. Um, but yes, our typical day looks like we offer a 2 hour learning period where you can bring whatever it is that you're learning on at home, bring that to the space, just to offer children an opportunity to learn if they want to alongside other children, because I know studies have shown that high performers, if you sit in close quarter or in close proximity to a high performer in workplace, you perform better. So if we create environments where children can come and I'm working on my math and you're working on that, but we're all working together, they kind of enjoy that.
Mm. And what sort of
So
things do they bring? Sorry, I'm jumping in because I'm curious.
no,
Is
no,
it
no.
typical schoolwork stuff, or can they bring like crocheting, or like is there a boundary around it?
So the 2 hour learning is a little bit for the academic ones, those
Okay.
that want to have academic done. So they've got online learning, book learning, things like crochet falls under what we call doing. So
Oh,
if
okay.
our day is divided into knowing, so knowing ourselves, knowing others, knowing how to regulate, um, knowing good manners. It's all about, it's a lot of discussion and building class culture, if I can call it that way. So we discuss, what is it that you like? What is it that I don't like? Oh, I don't like to be hugged too much, so that we can know each other. Then we've got learning, which is our 2 hours that we get our learning done. And then we've got skills. We work on skills. We do woodwork, we do art, we do crochet, anything that we can do. We do kitchen work or whatever. And then we've got connecting with our community, where we do things to help the community, not necessarily something that you would choose for yourself, going out. So, for instance, at the moment, we're building an outdoor kitchen, and I need wall panels inside, and some of the kids are offering their time to help me get that done. They wouldn't necessarily choose woodwork or
Yeah.
painting the reeds, but they're doing that because that is what the community needs at the moment.
Oh, wow.
And then the last one is being. This is where kids just get the opportunity to be, to play, to be free with their friends and connect.
Sure. I'm just visualizing it in my mind. Like it sounds so different from the like school that we know of that it makes me feel excited. Like I want to be there learning and doing and being.
And doing and being, and I'm telling you, it's chaotic. I mean, to outsiders, I think it can be chaotic at times, or seem that way, because we have children moving between activities and choosing. And somebody who's 6 years old who's helping with the screens is going to get tired after 15 minutes, but somebody else can stay at it for longer. So we have adults doing stuff, and then children can dip into those doing in different areas
So almost
if they
like
feel.
parallel. So like if I choose, this happens with my kids a lot. I'll choose to do something because I feel like doing it. And then they do it because I'm doing it. So like crocheting or reading. I'll say, guys, we've done a lot today. I'm just going to go sit on my bed and read. Next minute they come, they sit on the bed and read. Like, is that the sort of thing that you see with the kids there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So kids are naturally, like, if I had to stand here and say, go and let's make, or would you mind making soap, whatever, for
Yeah.
anything. Well, they can't. But if they see you doing it, oh, that looks fun.
Mm.
That is the invitation for them to get involved. And it's interesting because parents, and we're living in a world where we're telling the kids, get off your phones, but we're on our
Yeah.
phones. Or we say to children, you need to read your book. Then I say, but have we modeled what it looks like to read a book? It
Yeah.
looks like I'm done with all my other work. I now want to go and sit and relax. And the fact that you are speaking that to your children, it means you are making your thinking visible, so they understand your process. Oh, you've done all your things. You don't want to do that. Now you're choosing reading. And that invites them to join in that thinking process, and in your case, coming to the same conclusion, or yeah.
And then I'm wondering that I'm not even sticking to the questions now because now we're just having a conversation. Uh, then it makes me wonder, do you have kids who have a day where they just don't want to do anything? Like during the 2 hour learning, they don't feel like learning. And then what happens there? Is that just that is what it is? Or
That is what it is. So the biggest learning would be for the parents. So we have typically, I would say, two groups of parents. We'd have parents that said, we don't believe in the system. We want something different for our children.
yeah.
And there is a lot of alignment there. Then we have children who have shown their parents that the system isn't working for them. So a lot of PDA, your demand avoidance, kids with autism. So they've shown their parents that, look, the mainstream is not going to work. And what we then do with the parents is we sit and say, okay, what is it? How can we support you as parent? Because you're the first teacher. How can we support you? And most of my parents, like, they'll say to me, oh, Anna, I've packed a book for math. See how it goes.
Yeah.
If it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, then, we'll try again next time. There's no shame around that. Oh, Miss Anna, this one doesn't want to learn. And I said, okay, maybe he's not ready for learning today.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have those conversations around that. Well, what makes us feel ready for learning? What could possibly, how could we support him in this? So there's a lot of conversations. And yes, just kind of allowing them to be.
And how
But
different
then,
is that from normal schooling? I mean, sorry, I'm interrupting you. I don't
no,
remember being able to have conversations with my teachers. There were no conversations. It was just,
no,
this is what we're doing today. Do it.
yes,
And you just do it.
different.
Like, and I did it. I did everything I needed to do just the way it needed to be done. Only to turn back now and think, kind of like, what a waste of my time. I learned so much stuff I didn't need to know. I was just cramming my head full of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And the thing is, it served that there was a time, I think, where education that way served a purpose, and but we're not there anymore. We're not in that time, and children are not, they know that there's no purpose to some of the things that are expected of them, and I think that is why we have these labels and PDAs and things, because children, they need to show us where the system is broken.
Yeah, I often say I feel like this generation of children are, I mean, I don't want to get too like spiritually woo whatever, but they are just a different human. And you can feel it. I felt it when I was teaching. They don't want to do things the way they've always been done, and they're kind of screaming to us adults like, please change something. We just want things to change. Are you finding that the kids that are coming to you are like, let's say, displaying less of that PDA, or because they're feeling that things are more in their control, if you could put it that way? I don't know if that's the right wording, but it's more something that they're not just being told to do the whole day, kind of.
They get to be autonomous in their learning. I
Mm.
think, yes, definitely, some of them, when they arrive, we come up with a little bit of resistance. And like, I had one boy just roaming the farm, like he refused to come anywhere close, but he comes now and he engages and he plays. So I think, like, being in nature is, I mean, it's the biggest regulator.
Yeah.
So the fact that they get to be in nature, and we go out in the mornings and we each have a tree and you go be with your tree, or we just go and ground and we speak those things. The fact that they are able to do that, and that the fact that they're able to during the day say to me, Anna, I need to go be with my tree. Okay, I know what that means.
Yeah.
They are displaying less of the PDA, because PDA is a nervous system response to it needs to keep me safe. So if you can regulate the nervous system, then you've got one that you can work with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think while you're
Um,
saying that as well, I'm just thinking to myself, like, I'm mindful of different people who might listen to this. If you have somebody listening, let's start with the first person I'm thinking of. If you have someone who's listening whose child is in school and maybe this is their only option at the moment, how do you think they could then go about making decisions for their child knowing that they have to go to school every day? Or is that, in your opinion, then is that like, I don't know how to say it without saying, like, get your child out of that school, because that's what I would want to say. But I know that's not always the option. That's what I'm mindful of.
it's not always an option, and some kids actually love going to school.
Yes, no, that's
Um,
true. Yeah.
so what I have is, there are strategies that you can use to make even a classroom a little bit more self-directed.
Mm.
So, for instance, setting goals for yourself. That is something that we do here on a Monday morning. It's like, what is it that you'd like to get done this week? Now it feels within their control. So take that into a school setup. If they're in the younger years, like books, how many pages would you like to read of your book? How many hours of homework would you like to get done this week? Because then, number one, they set a goal for themselves, and it's something that they decide. And yes, maybe true self-directed learning would, flip out at that, but there are still children that need to be in the system.
Yeah. I feel like I
Yeah.
went into the system and my mom was actually unschooling at home without knowing it because we did a lot of stuff at home, like baking and cooking and just alongside each other that was already happening. So I feel like I had that balance that not a lot of kids get now. But maybe that's something people can also bring in is like afternoons are self-directed if school can't be or something like that. I don't know how helpful it is, but it's something I wonder if that's a,
If that's
yeah.
a possibility. I think if we, let's say, for instance, if you know what your children are learning about, or let's say in writing, they're learning to write recounts, or they're learning to write descriptions, or whatever, bringing that into the conversation, I think something that parents at home can do is definitely going to be around conversation. I think children in schools are starved for bringing their ideas, asking the questions, because, like you say, in many, not all schools, but there's because they've got a curriculum to cover.
Yeah.
So I need to pass on all this information so that I can tick the boxes. But I think if we at home just stop and bring in as much conversation as we can. And I believe apparently in the car, parents with kids say drives in the car is the perfect time for bringing the conversations in.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to jump then
But
to my other person. Oh, sorry. No, what were you going to say?
no, go for it.
I was going to jump to the other person I'm mindful of who is sort of me and some of the people I'm seeing in my community. So we have a big homeschooling community in Benoni. Some people are unschooling, some are very strict with the curriculum. There's kind of like a, I don't know if you want to call it like a spectrum of people, like nobody's actually the same. But if
Mm.
homeschoolers are listening, I guess what could you say to maybe ease the minds of parents who are trying to tick the boxes and yeah, or those who are just homeschooling, like what is a nice bit of advice for those who are at home that could help kids who really, yeah, maybe need help. I don't know. I don't know how to ask it, but I think you know what
Okay.
I'm saying.
So I think for homeschoolers, you mentioned before, behind who? Like, I think for people that are unsure, just remember that there is really no expected. Kids are all different. Kids learn no matter what. Research has shown that even with a bad, in a like with a mediocre teacher, okay, a child is going to learn 1 year for 1 year's worth of being in a learning space. So anything that you do that above and beyond that is going to have a positive impact. So kids learn. If you make it hands-on for them, if you make it engaging, and if it is something that they're interested in, you can't fail.
Yeah, I think
You
that's such a key point. Like just do. Just do. They will
just
learn.
just they will learn. And I mean, I'm sure there are parents who are nervous about, let's say, for instance, the reading, and can they read and can't. There's studies that have shown that kids who learned to read a little bit later were far better readers.
Yeah.
And children who learn to write later, I have a boy that for the longest time wouldn't put pen to paper. But oh my gosh, sorry. Um, the moment he started, he really just took off. and nothing can stop him. Yes, his handwriting is struggling a little bit, but all the ideas are in his brain. And
Yeah.
because he's been allowed that time and freedom to, just be,
Yeah.
that now the enjoyment is much more.
And I've seen that with my daughter because she's supposed to be grade 2, if you want to label it. And she resisted writing so much. And the more I asked her to write, the less she wanted to do it. So eventually I just backed off. I did everything but writing until she was
Yeah.
ready. And now she's writing. And like she had reversals of her letters and she was actually struggling to write because like physically it was just a difficult thing for her to do. And so I gave her a lot of typing things and coloring and matching columns and all things that didn't involve writing until she was ready. And now that I'm not even telling her. She wants to write and then she looks at her writing and says, wow, look at my writing. Because it's her that chose to do it. And I'm not sitting there. I'm so tempted to be like, look at your letter, it's backwards. And the more I do that, the more she's like, I'm not doing it then. I don't want to do it. So I've got to come up with ways to just be encouraging and allow that space. I think what I'm saying is the more I trusted that, the more she felt trusted to be in her own
Yes.
space, in her own time when she was ready. That actually leads to my next question with benchmarks, which we have definitely known now. We know benchmarks can be blown into the water. It doesn't matter what grade you are, what age you are. Every child is learning differently at different ages and levels. And so, with the kids at your school, what is I don't want to even say goal, but what is the end goal? Is there a goal for those who want to do matric and maybe want to go to university? Can they do that? Do they not have to do that? I'm curious to hear.
It's a conversation we have with parents, and depending on what we offer it to them. But then what we say is that in grade 9, children are able to have the conversation of like, okay, what is it that you want to do? So if you want to become a doctor, then it's a matter of saying, okay, well, what do you need in order to become a doctor? Okay, so you need a matriculation exemption. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you need to take these subjects on these levels. Okay, and then you basically start the end that they want and you work it back. Some kids don't want to go to university, but if you do it right while they're young, anything is possible for them, because then they know, okay, I want to become a vet. What do I need to become a vet? I need to have this, that, and that. Okay, where do I get that? Download. I mean, the CAPS curriculum is available for download on the internet. Download it and, work your way through it. Nobody can say to you, you can't write your matric.
Mm.
Same if you know that you want to then become an artist. Well, okay, so should we find you, like, I don't know, do you want to do an apprenticeship? Do you want to do a woodwork? What is it that you want? There are so many people now offering consultations in terms of, do you want a British exit? Do you want to have the American high school or the GEDs?
Yeah.
There are so many options. And also I think tertiary institutions they're going to be the next ones due for a massive update.
Yeah.
I mean, we see what AI has done. So the way that they've done it for so long is like you have to write your thesis and whatever.
Yeah. It's like,
That
no, we
how
don't have time for that. Yeah. It's like, let's do something else. Yeah.
so you start seeing universities and things where I know there's a business school here where you earn your business degree by starting a business,
Which makes so much sense.
which makes so much sense. And somebody even said that we're heading towards a time where children or young people would be able to build their own degree by taking different things. Complex problems are going to require us to have different skills.
Definitely. Yeah.
So yes, it's anything is possible. Anything is possible as long as there's a love for learning. And you know, I think children know. So somebody who is not going to be a doctor is
Mm.
maybe not going to have the desire to be a doctor
Yeah.
if they are guided well, if
Yeah.
I can put it that
Yeah.
way.
And I feel like the models that you're putting out there, so the self-directed learning, the project-based learning, the way that you're doing these things, and the way I'm hoping to do it with my kids, is that they know themselves so well already that making those decisions is not going to be like kids who leave school and go, I don't know what to do with my life. And I have no idea because everybody's told me what to do, and now I don't know where to go. Yeah.
No, I don't know where to go. And the thing is, we cut them off in like in many instances, we cut them off from the real world. So we don't teach them to think, we don't teach them to experience, we don't teach them to explore. And then at 18, okay, so now what do you want to do? Now you want them to think for themselves. Like how?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think homeschoolers and self-directed learners and all of those, they're going to be the ones that take over the world soon.
Mm, yeah. That's what we're aiming for now. I'm just
That's
joking.
what we're aiming
But I
for.
also remember you saying something like these little things stick with me. And I was like, I totally see that. You were saying how, and I might not say it the way that you said it, you can correct me, but how the future is actually about people who know how to manage emotions and understand people and understand communication, because that is a skill that I wouldn't say they're not learning in schools. I'm sure they are, but maybe not as much as they should be or could be or would be. Like, yeah.
Yes, so if we look at the reality of technology and the way that the world is going, like I need to state my case to a lawyer. I don't know what. I can go to ChatGPT and say, I live in South Africa, I've done blah, 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 and it can give me a download on the law stuff.
Yeah.
Or there are so many things that will be replaced. But what can't be replaced is being with somebody who, for instance, has dementia, sitting with a person, being able to be with people, understanding yourself. So it's the relational jobs, I think, and those things, you know, the world will belong to those who can help and
And I hope that
so
that's the way the world does go. The way I hope that we become the people who relate more and communicate more and understand more, because
I
that's
think
the way I'm hoping we're heading, kind of thing. Yeah.
absolutely.
I wanted to ask one last question before we end off. This has been so, I think we could talk, we could talk all day. But I think I'd like to ask for those people who are in the Cape and are interested in your school, what does it look like? Like, do they come and have a look? Do they get to try it out? Is there somewhere they can look to see more about it?
Absolutely,
Not school, I said
absolutely.
school. Sorry,
Let's go.
not school.
But then we all know what we're talking
Yeah.
about. Absolutely. They can just be in contact with me. We invite children to come and be in our space for a while, see if it is something that aligns with them. We welcome short-term enrollment, so we have a lot of world schoolers coming through.
Oh,
We
wow.
have children that come once a week, so there are so many options for children to be involved. We do holiday camps, all sorts.
Wow. And you're in Constantia, is that right?
We're in Constantia Neck, yes,
Okay.
so halfway between Hout Bay and Constantia. Yes.
Okay. And is there anything you want to say to finish off? Anything you haven't said, anything that pops up for you? Words of wisdom?
No, I think I'm humbled every day, and I am really realizing every day how little I actually know, because every day that I get to be with the kids, it's like I have to be the first learner. I have to let go of everything that I thought I knew. And I keep saying to my parents, there isn't a model out there that exists for this. The world that we're going to doesn't exist, or we don't
Mm,
know what it looks like. Sorry.
mm.
So we all remain flexible and we remain lifelong learners.
So that I've just thought of another question then. Does that mean that the school changes with the children or the environment, not the school, the place you work at?
Does that change with the children? So we do have a general project or the purpose of the school, and that is to be self-reliant. We want to know how to build, we want to know how to grow food, we want to know how to preserve our yield. So those are the things that us, the adults, what we're doing, and hopefully we'll get to a point where we will physically build an earthship school. So all the skills that we are learning at the moment is for us as facilitators to put in our toolkit for when we get to the time when we can physically build a school.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I love that. I've never heard of that concept. So that's exciting. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Oh,
So I just
thanks,
wanted to
Beth.
say thank you so much for having this chat with me. It's been really great chatting again. And I know that there will be more. There have to be more chats if more things come up. Maybe this time next year we'll chat again.
Absolutely. It was absolutely lovely. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.